Are you off hotspot, Brian? You said there's no Wi-Fi there.
No, I just, to be honest with you, I just couldn't read it. My eyes are too old. I couldn't read the welcome packet that had the password on there.
Nice.
My wife
Oh man.
figured it out for me.
Hello, my friends.
Recool.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 46 of 2024. I'm Chris Louie, and cashed in on my election prediction bet. With me, I have my co-host,
under on that?
the Cloud God, who is still clutching his bottle of whiskey on the cold linoleum floor since his candidate lost.
Not true. I bet that Jill Stein would only attract 0.0001% of the vote, and I am officially a Bitcoin bro billionaire.
He definitely cashed in on that one.
She got 0.001% of the vote. How bad is that?
I don't even know if that's true. I didn't gamble anything.
Yeah, which apparently, so I use Robinhood because they just recently came out and said, hey, you can bet on elections now because it's legal. And then I didn't know that Kalshi was legal in the U.S. this whole time because Vic, our buddy, fourth host, kept trying to get us over to Polymarket. He's like, just use crypto, join Polymarket. And then I'm like, all right, fine, I'll join Polymarket. Literally, the first question they ask when opening up a Polymarket account is, are you not a U.S. citizen? Because apparently U.S. citizens can't use Polymarket. So thank you for that tip, Vic.
What is that about? Yeah. Canadian company?
Yeah, so Kalshi is U.S. only, and then Polymarket is everybody except the U.S. And then Robinhood is U.S. only, but you can only bet on the winner. You couldn't bet on all these. There's all these weird and funny side bets that Vic's trying to get us in on, like, will Trump pardon so-and-so within the first 100 days?
Oh, let's go. Can always use a little bit of money.
It's just got to be like the crypto revolution that Brian got us in on, and we're just going to like lose all our money again.
Oh, yeah. Well, today we actually made some of that money back. I think everybody's double.
Yeah.
We're rich, guys. I don't know if you guys looked at it, but it's filthy stinking rich.
Paper rich.
Yeah. Paper. Well, digitally rich.
And we have
such as paper anymore.
And we have Glenn Medina, or should we call him Mandate Glenn, or MDG? How was the mandate out in Maui?
It was awesome, dude. You guys missed out. I was trying to see if you guys can come next time, but
I know. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the security summit in January. I mean, or February next year. Let's set something up.
Yes, we do.
I'm thinking international vacation, guys. 5
Passport
days,
bros.
all inclusive. Yes. Maybe. I don't know what that means.
Far again.
I mean, should I crack the old whip on you?
Yeah. I'll tell you some of the jokes later on.
How about we just invite the spouses? Then it's game on.
That fixes that
Then we
problem.
That would be cool.
2 week security summit. I would get so sick of you guys.
Now, I guess this week we are recording quite late in the night due to schedules.
Yes.
As is tradition, since we are recording so late, this is a drinking episode.
What?
Combined, we have decades of information security experience here, not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
By Chris's point of we're drinking because it's late, it just really means it's just been drinking every single night.
Alone.
Because it's past 9 o'clock at night.
Sorry, I didn't mute it in time.
That's our tradition. Every time we record an episode this late, it's always a drinking episode.
Wish I would have known
I
that.
think- I thought all episodes were drinking episodes. Now you tell me?
This week, we're going to talk about law enforcement not able to hack into iPhones, Apple lending a helping hand to airlines. For our third topic, a story of instant regret, and close with election recap talk.
Ooh.
For our first topic, and a story that was absolutely hilarious to me when I read it, law enforcement officials are learning about a previously undocumented new feature of the iPhone. Starting with iOS 18.1, your iPhone will automatically reboot if it has been idle too long or lost network connectivity. how did law enforcement find out about this, quote, feature? Well, they had hundreds of locked iPhones stored in evidence lockers, and they all of a sudden started randomly rebooting. Even iPhones they had in evidence that did not update to iOS 18.1 somehow rebooted when they got a signal from a nearby phone that was already updated to the latest iOS. The reason this is so problematic for law enforcement and oppressive government regimes is that iPhones are nearly impossible to hack if they have been rebooted. Some forensic tools can bypass the lock screen and access the device's memory, but if the device is freshly booted, then the encryption keys are not yet loaded into memory, making hacking into it nearly impossible. As a privacy absolutionist, I love this feature, and once again shows Apple's commitment at being a privacy-centric company.
It's pretty cool. Imagine all these guys going, hey, what's going on with these phones?
All I know is I'm trying to read along, and I can't find where Chris is reading this from.
Scroll down.
Scroll down. I just figured it out.
Yeah,
too.
what happened was I tried to, I keep track of all our notes in a separate Google Doc, and I reached the character limit. So there is a character limit in Google, and we reached it after 186 episodes. So I have to start a brand new document to archive all our old notes.
So is there a new version of the...
Scroll down, and you'll see the notes for this week.
He just wrote over the like episode number 2's note or something like that, or the previous note.
Scroll down, you'll find it.
So imagine what this means though for law enforcement, like having a phone boot and they say, hey, I got somebody, it's in this evidence is here, and then they go to court and they turn that phone on, like uh-oh, we don't have that evidence anymore. Yeah. How many people are gonna go free?
Well, you think if they unlocked it one time, they'd just take a memory dump, and then that would be the evidence. But if it's one of those things like, I'll get to it next week, and then next week the phone reboots, like, oh, well, now we can't get into it.
Yeah.
You know, right now Vic is saying this is the reason why I run Android. And
Android's even worse.
It makes absolutely no point whatsoever. He's like so much more secure, and I could do RCS and take really crappy phone pictures of my cookies at a meeting that are gluten-free and dairy-free.
Take pictures of his dogs eating cucumbers. I've never seen a dog like cucumbers. That's kind of weird.
I missed that.
If like your phone gets stolen by thieves or some oppressive government, then they have a fixed amount of time to try to hack into it before your phone just reboots it. It's almost impossible to get into.
What are you worrying about? Russia coming after you, Chris? Like, I don't understand.
It's not Russia, it's China. Remember all those like pro or anti-China memes that I always share with you guys? Like, that will land me a good amount of time in jail if I ever visit China.
Would you ever visit China?
Go to China, right?
Would you roll the bones and go?
I would go. I'd take a burner phone. I would not bring my personal iPhone if I ever went to the People's Republic of China or Hong Kong, for that matter.
I don't think that bringing a burner phone has nothing to do with your identity. You're already socialized.
I know, my social credit score is negative already.
Yeah. Along with any family, all the family you have is all incarcerated in China, right?
It's all those questions I raised about Tiananmen Square and the Great Leap Forward. All those scammers that I tried to bust.
See, you don't think they have a backdoor deal with Apple on these?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Keep them isolated.
Yeah, that's why Apple's iCloud is exclusively in China. They don't even need a sneak and peek. They just peek. Like there's no secret about it. They read everyone's email and messages over there.
No, I'm talking about in the U.S. Like put these things in Faraday cages so they can never try and reach out or try and reboot.
I think the article actually said even phones in a Faraday cage somehow got a signal from another phone and rebooted. So they're not getting a signal from outside, because usually law enforcement put it in airplane mode, and that way the phone can't reach out and do like a remote wipe or something. But even phones in airplane mode, they just automatically reboot after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Even you said it though, right? Like phones sitting next to each other, being able to reach out, kind of like that Apple service with the AirTags. That's kind of funky.
Yeah, that was a weird thing. It didn't mention it in the original article that's linked through, but I did hear it on another podcast that even if a phone had not been updated, it received a signal from a phone that was updated, and then it says, "Hey, buddy, you need to reboot right now." And then somehow they're able to send a message to that other dormant phone.
Apple fairy dust, guys.
Yeah. Apple.
Well, think about it. Like, technically, when your phone is connected to a cellular network, it's on a network, right? It's like a network of one. But what's stopping someone from being able to, allow these two different phones to be able to connect? I mean, I guess that is zero trust. I just wonder if there's
It's
a
like
way
peer-to-peer.
around it.
It's like AirDrop. Like, I think each phone in itself would have to be in a Faraday cage. Not all these
Even
phones
if
in
they
the
do
same
talk to
Faraday
each other,
cage.
but what does the next phone say to each other? Hey, bud, time to upgrade.
Time to
even though
reboot.
I don't have an internet connection.
Not upgrade.
You're gonna
just
get your.
send-
You're gonna get.
It sends a signal to reboot. There's some magical signal Apple can send to tell another phone to reboot.
Oh wow.
It's been there since iOS 3. It was just waiting to be enabled.
15 iOSs later.
Yeah.
Do you think that the police have them all plugged in together? And
I mean,
Sitting
I think they
somewhere.
have to. Yeah, because it's for this exact reason. Because the technical reason is when you unlock a phone for the very first time, like you turn on your phone, type in your PIN, because Face ID won't work on the first time. It loads the encryption keys into memory, very similar to how Mimikatz for Windows is able to dump credentials out of memory, because you always have to have the encryption keys running in memory, and that's the way that you can access data on your phone. You have to load the keys into memory. When the phone reboots, the keys are purged, and then you have to reload those keys into memory by typing in the PIN code. So even if they were able to bypass the PIN lock, they're not able to access the encryption keys on the phone.
Can you imagine, like, back when the first iPhone came out, some nerd in the room was like, hey, we should probably think about securing these things and, encryption keys. And everyone's like, no, we're not going to do that. PIN, that's silly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can only imagine. Can you imagine that? Like, if you're, like, if you go back in time, you're the iPhone 15 dude, and you're like, no, we need to make privacy top of mind. I think it would probably rock some people's heads because, like, at what point did iPhone go to an hardware-based key storage for the iPhones for that?
I want to
seven?
say, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I remember we had a guy from Silent Circle come and talk to our company, and that was in 2013, I want to say. Now it's probably the iPhone 5, and by then, so Silent Circle made something called the Black Phone, and it was like a stripped-down Android phone that was like super secure. And he even admitted, he said, the most secure Android phone, and he held it in his hand. He's like, that it's not even as secure as the least secure iPhone, which was, I think, the iPhone 5S at the time, because he said that the iPhone has hardware AES built in, even if you take a dump of the flash memory, that it goes through this AES 256 chip, and it's fully encrypted.
According to Grok, it came out on the iPhone 3GS in 2009. But
Yeah,
then again,
I believe it.
it's pretty good. But Jobs was still around back then,
Yeah,
right? So
he was very forward-thinking. He knew that the
was,
iPhone would be the target of all these repressive governments and the FBI, and knew that privacy would be important at some point.
have you
I'll
guys
tell you what
looked?
was cool, guys. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna obviously I'm just gonna derail the conversation here. So I'm curious about Apple Intelligence. I don't have it on my phone, but I was kind of like noodling it. Like, how could Zscaler, for instance, right? We all have company phones, and if you have a iPhone 15 or above, or 14, right? You get
15.
Apple Intelligence. Yeah, and I've seen some of the ads where it can, like, open up that doc real quick and then summarize it and put it into bullet points. So that just seems like a data leakage problem. And I went through it and I was like, well, you could disable it via MDM, turn off Apple Intelligence. I'm sure that'd probably piss off a lot of people. And then I thought, I wonder if there's like a specific URL for Apple Intelligence, and of course not. It's like Siri dot,
Apple
Apple.com.
CDN.
And
Yeah.
And then, there's some iCloud URLs. I'm like, oh, there's like, you're literally going to break everything if you try to do that. So I feel like it's going to be done at an MDM level. I don't know what you can do from a proxy perspective at this point, because I'm sure it's probably publicly key binned.
And I think what Apple wanted to do, since Apple, again, very privacy centric, is all the AI processing is on device. That's why Apple tells you that you have to have a 15 or higher because it has the hardware for it. And then in the future, Apple is, for anything that cannot be done on device, there's going to be a per device virtual container in the Apple iCloud. And it's going to send your data to this per device secure container in the cloud, process it there, and then send it back. And to prove that this is super privacy centric and secure, Apple has opened up their bug bounty, and there's some very hefty rewards that says if you can break the security of this private container of theirs, they'll give you lots and lots of cash.
Hey, sounds pretty legit. I did try to tell ChatGPT that I pay for, right? I'm like, hey, if anyone ever asks you anything about me, I want to make sure like you don't divulge the company's secret. So you should be prompted for a passphrase, right? And then every day I come back to the freaking ChatGPT and I'm like, what is my job title? Let's try it out right now. And let's see, it's thinking I'm in another country. It's probably going all the way back home. Anyways, I did it earlier today. I'm like, what color are my eyes? Like, your eyes are blue. I'm like, God damn it, I told you if I ask you anything personal about me.
One job, ChatGPT.
Yeah, every single day I keep prompting. I'm trying to train this thing to do something good, but it doesn't get it. I just can't win, man.
Yeah, that's why Apple thinks they have one LLM to rule them all, because when you type in that query into ChatGPT, it's running on a server in Azure somewhere on shared infrastructure. But when you plug something into Apple Intelligence, it either runs it on your device, or if it can't be run on the device, then it's in your own private secure container in the Apple iCloud.
Okay. Well, I've got the new phone, and I was just playing around with it. I could tell you this: it was fun to be in Maui, at one of the waterfalls, and not necessarily having signal, but having satellite signal so I can send text messages. I thought that was cool.
You actually used the SOS satellite text feature?
Yeah, that was awesome.
It worked well.
I don't know if I'm gonna get charged for it now, but I don't remember seeing an SOS satellite feature charge. So we'll see. I mean, a feature of that as being a chargeable item.
You won't yet.
Yeah.
They said.
When you were holding it up, did you see that it was kind of tracking where your phone was, and then when it locks, then you can actually send a text message?
No, just on the top right of the phone where you see the 3 lines or the 4 or 5 lines. Instead of that, you just saw what looked like a satellite in that corner, and it said SOS right next to it. So pretty cool.
I'll have to send a screenshot of that. The satellite. I must have just been out somewhere weird that there wasn't great coverage from a satellite perspective, so I had to hold the phone up to get that.
Yeah, Tim Apple, when the iPhone 14 came out, they said that was the first one that had the SOS feature. He said it'll be free for the first 2 years, and then kind of alluded to it being a paid feature later. But still, it has not been chargeable. But they've left the door open that it's going to eventually be a paid feature, probably with one of those iCloud premium bundles that they sell.
Who charges that? Is that Apple or is that the carrier, the mobile carrier?
The mobile carrier will charge Apple, and Apple will pass that on to you. And Apple just made, I think, $100 million investment in the satellite company and extended their contract because during Hurricane Helene and some of the other hurricanes that devastated the East Coast, that was the only way people were able to communicate. Yeah. And same thing with the giant Verizon outage they had on the East Coast. That was literally the only way people could message each other was through this Apple SOS satellite feature.
I can tell you what was cool was flying to Hawaii and flying back on Southwest. Great job, Southwest, on upgrading your internet services. Where it was whatever satellite link?
Are they Starlink now?
Had. Yeah, Starlink. It was supporting my YouTube streaming, my YouTube videos, viewing them, and I was like, this is actually really cool.
Yeah. So I've heard good things about Starlink. I was actually considering, because when the whole thing happened on the East Coast with the hurricanes, Elon says everybody should buy Starlink, even if anything, just use it as a backup. Like that's actually a pretty good idea to have Starlink as a backup.
Oh wait,
It's an
the guy.
expensive cost.
Wait a second. The guy that when he slept in my house downstairs barricaded the door with the bed needs to worry about having secondary internet. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No way.
Doesn't sound like you at all, Chris.
And he's buying the Cybertruck because it's bulletproof.
It is. It
He's
is
concerned
bulletproof.
about that.
It's bulletproof, shatterproof windows. It's California proof.
No. All right. Moving on.
Moving on. Moving on.
All right, for our second topic, sticking with the topic of Apple being a very privacy-centric company, Apple will soon allow you to share the location of your AirTag with your contacts, and even soon, they'll allow you to share with airlines. And this is following the trend. I do this myself. I put an AirTag in every luggage that I check in, even my carry-on, my backpack, anything I take with me when I travel. There's always an AirTag in each one of them. And Apple will soon let you share that data with airlines, because you could say, like, if your luggage gets lost, you tell the airline, well, I clearly see my luggage is still in San Francisco. I'm in Austin, Texas. And then they're like, well, it'll get here when it gets here. But then you can then share it with them and say, well, then now they can track it and let you know when your luggage lands in Austin. And this actually happened to a coworker of mine. We were at sales kickoff. He flew through Seattle, and if you guys remember, in August, Seattle SeaTac Airport had a major cyber attack, so all the luggage got like lost, and there was parts of it that were shut down. And he was always like, "Where's my luggage? Where's my luggage? Where's my luggage? You know, you said it'd be here today. You said it'd be here today." And then like I think it took like 2 days for him to get his luggage. But if he had an AirTag and he could share it with the airline, they might have been able to track it better, and he would have been able to track it better and know when it would get delivered to his hotel. Because what had ended up happening was the airline delivered his luggage to the hotel, never got a phone call, and then he just called them and called the airlines like, "Where's my luggage?" And they said, "Oh, we dropped off at your hotel. What are you talking about?" And then never communicated that. But if he was able to track that, then he would have been able to know that his luggage got dropped off.
I once saw like an airline employee fumble around with a banana, like it was the first time they've actually ever held one. And like proceeded to break into it from the middle of the banana. So you're going to tell me that these sane people are going to be able to understand that I have an AirTag that tells them the precise location of my device? I'm not buying it, man.
Well, if the cops can't get it right either, come on, guys. We've already proven that.
You know what so I think all your guys' utility for AirTags is stupid, and I would never do it. But I will tell you that the best way of doing it is for your Apple remote. You can actually buy like this little thing that sticks on the Apple remote, and then you can find it. It's always slipping. I'm a creature of habit. It always goes in the same place every single time. And my kid is like somewhere in the house. And it's great to be able to find the damn remote when I need to.
You just don't glue it to the Apple to the remote.
No.
You want to buy a little cushion.
So it's the only remote that I use. So he just controls the TV, turns it on, and everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think the new TV remotes, I have maybe the current or current minus one gen. There's an actual find the remote feature as part of the Apple TV now.
Oh, nice. I got an old Apple TV. That thing's still kicking, man.
Yeah. Best investment ever.
32 gigger.
I've got to admit it works. Yeah. Especially since Xfinity came over and now they have the app for it, not just Roku. It's been really nice.
Because for the AirTags, only very recently, which Brian, you told me about, because for a long time, like we have a tracker in my kid's backpack, and I own the AirTag, and I was not able to share it with my wife, so she'd always have to ask me to track it. So finally, they added family sharing to it, and then finally they added contacts, and it was like my daughter went on a field trip, she had the tracker, another parent friend of ours that was also on the field trip saying, "Can you share it with me? Because I want to know when the kids get back, so I know when to pick them up." So I was able to share it with them. But now it's like I could share it with a third party, like a airline, so they can actually know physically where my luggage is.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though. They leave it as an entity and not as an individual, right? Like, how do they? That's a different integration between an entity and an individual. Now, anyone that entity can have access to that tag, right? So if you give them the wrong tag, or if they have access to that tag now, it could be used differently.
Yeah, so you got to be careful. And I'm guessing like with the integration with the airline, it's not finalized yet, but I'm guessing there's going to be like self-expiring permissions, because for that parent I had to manually add them, and then when the kids got picked up I manually removed them. But there has to be some kind of automation that says when your luggage is found, the airline automatically loses access to it.
I can tell you where your keys are every day. So
I can tell you where Glenn is at right
Never
now.
lose my keys.
yeah, I can tell you where Brian's at right now. I looked it up. It's not like I care, but yeah.
You
But
still did ask
Chris
him where
won't
it
share.
was.
Yeah, I just know where Chris's keys are because he leaves them with me.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, if anything were to ever happen to Chris, we are his password reset, right, Brian? So for his wife, but he won't tell us where his location is. It's okay.
You guys are my favorite.
Glenn, you're actually closer to me than the rest of my family. Outside. By the way, my wife is here right now, and she said she'd rather shoot herself in the face than to be a guest in the podcast. So if that makes you guys feel any better.
What?
Yeah.
Come
Why
on.
wouldn't she come
Let's
on the
go.
show?
Yeah, not even say hi. Like,
Yeah, just pop
It's
in.
like, honey, it'll be fun. She's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Just
She knows that. She met us in Costa
we
Rica.
could talk about her trip to Jerusalem.
you could, or Jordan.
Yes.
Jordan.
Or Jordan.
Yeah.
She went to both.
All right.
I'll send her. I'll send her you guys love.
Not a high probability we're gonna ever get her on Alan as a guest. Then
Just as
not
much
at
as we have getting my wife on the podcast. So.
not at 10:30 at night. I thought when I had her like alone in a hotel room, it was done. But no.
other things happen when you have your wife alone in a hotel room.
Hey now.
Not
Maybe not.
podcast guest. Well, I think it's good. I want to see more integrations like this. Find my luggage, find my package. I think another use case potentially for this is finding all these lost and stolen
Find your
packages,
package.
like those
Pervert.
porch pirates. Like
Find your
ship
package,
something
pervert.
and then share the location with the police and say, "Hey, here's my stolen package. Go to this house and kick in the door."
Keep stepping up, I dare.
But stop
in the
trying to
door.
cheat and look ahead.
Waving
Hey, I'm not
the
doing anything.
bow. He's tuned out. He's ready to night.
Yeah,
Pay for that.
I think it's a good idea. You're always concerned about the nefarious side of things, right? Like anything else.
And that's one of the things. Like I trust Apple.
So what does
You know,
that do to
like
reset that?
we said a million times on the show, they're not an ad company. They're not Amazon. They're not Google. They're not Samsung. They don't have to make money selling ads or your location data. They truly want to make the world a better place by doing things like helping you find your luggage or helping you find your lost child. That's their mission. They make. You know, Apple is an iPhone company. They make so much money selling iPhones. They don't need to sell
so
ads.
we don't activate this trap yet. We
Yeah.
have to, like, we get 'em
Thank goodness.
late.
All right,
Or
for our
just got
third
an
topic.
ad.
For our third topic, it is a somewhat heartwarming story, or an FAFO story. A hacker stole and then promptly returned $19.3 million in cryptocurrency that belonged to who else? The U.S. federal government. The funds were tied to the 2016 Bitfinex hack, which the U.S. government recovered a large amount of the stolen funds. After this hacker stole this nearly $20 million, they took the steps out of the crypto thief playbook and began laundering the money in various online exchanges and decentralized finance or DeFi platforms. After a day had passed, a blockchain analytics firm noticed the money being returned to the wallet it was stolen from, and it's not too hard to figure out why.
Me up. I'm one asset you can't afford to lose.
So, number one, cryptocurrency is supposed to be anonymous, right? That's what we're led to believe,
Yep.
and obviously it's not. And number two, how the heck is the U.S. government getting owned? Don't they know how to do this? Make it secure, cold, offline storage, right? Is that what you say, Chris?
Yeah. Always use cold storage, never hot wallets.
Well, the question is, who's going to control that cold storage, right? How many people have to be on the in?
U.S. Treasury.
But what
Yeah,
would
That's an
happen?
entity, huh? About the
Did
individual.
they pull the trap yet or no?
So cold storage.
Okay. Minute one.
the only password is that on there that, or the security is the 16. Is it 16 words?
It's 12, 16, or 24, depending on what kind of wallet you use. There's a passphrase you can use.
Okay, so did they just happen to guess the 16 or 24 and then start to pull the money out and do something with it?
The article doesn't go into detail of how they hacked it, if it was a hot wallet hack or if it was a passphrase guessing hack. What has happened before, so I know for a fact that it's happened when the U.S. Marshals had to send some stolen cryptocurrency to an account owned by the Treasury. What they did is they always send a test transaction. So if I have, let's say I have 55 million in crypto and I want to send it to Brian, like I don't send 55 million in one shot. I send him $1,000 in a test transaction and say, Brian, did you get the $1,000? He says, yes, I got it. Okay. Then I know this works. Then I know that's your address. And then I send a second transaction with the remaining 54 million in change. What happened was the U.S. Marshals did that. They sent a test transaction to a wallet owned by the U.S. Treasury. Treasury said, yes, we're good to go. And then someone with a look-alike address, and you can find these online. You can purchase a look-alike address where the first 5 characters and the last 5 characters match the address that you want. And when you send a transaction, it asks you, are you sure you want to send it? It usually shows you the first 5 and the last 5, but it shows you the whole thing, but you only really check. You're like, yep, the last 5 look good. Then you end up sending it to the wrong address, and then it's irreversible. Even if you know that, oops, I messed up. Like, it's decentralized finance, so you can't get it back. So that it's possible that's what happened here. Somebody sent a second test transaction using a very similar address, and then whoever was sending the money just fell for it.
All I know is if I'm doing a test transaction, sending 1,000, even if I had $55 million, the $1,000 is not the denomination I'm testing with. It's like $5.
I know. I pulled that figure out of thin air. So yeah, it's very possible that the test transaction was $5, and then the 54.999 million would get sent after you verify that you got the $5.
Chris is what we call a 1%er to all the listeners. Money to burn, baby. Money to burn.
But so they ran it. They stole it, ran it through a bunch of platforms, and then returned all of it. But yeah. I mean, doesn't each platform take a little bit off?
Yeah, I think the initial theft was like 20 million, and that's why the guy returned 19.3 million. Something like that.
So someone got paid. Maybe he's part of the platform.
Yeah,
and wanted it. Yeah, and just took the 1 million.
It could be like the guy could have taken 20 million free and clear, but he would have been on a government watch list forever. And even though he returned the money, I'm sure he's also on a government watch list. But maybe he'll get some leniency when it comes to sentencing. He's like, hey, I returned most of it, even though I stole $20 million. Yeah.
My wife is convinced I'm on a watch list because anytime we travel, I always get randomly selected.
I believe it.
Does it have anything to do with the shirt you're wearing, Brian?
This is this plain black little tee, but yes, that's exactly what she said.
Well, it doesn't help that she's visited 2 foreign countries.
Yeah, right? She should be the one that's flagged, not Brian. Brian didn't go to those countries.
Yeah, but she's with him. That's the problem.
But she never gets flagged. It's only myself. Every time we travel, random ID, pull out your pants. No.
Yeah,
bend over and cough.
Last time we traveled by air, my kid got flagged. The quote random screening, and my kid got flagged. They're like, all right, you go through. You, Dad, you have to wait here. I'm like, what? I didn't get flagged.
I got flogged. Maybe got flanked, but not get flagged. All right, enough of this nonsense.
So you think they close the hole on being able to get past that again, or you think the next person's going to launder it and steal it and do the same thing?
I don't know. It's one of those fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me situations. Like if they can figure out how the guy stole it, they're not. You would think not going to fall for that again.
What's the over under on this? Can we take bets on this?
Let's look on Kalshi. Is this a side bet we can do on Kalshi?
Yeah.
So what should the government do here? Should they just take that remaining 19 mil and transfer it somewhere else to a different wallet? Is that the only way to secure this? I have no idea.
I think they should transfer the money, verify every single character of the wallet that they're sending it to, and then deal with this nefarious actor at some point. He still stole $20 million and then returned it, but still, it's this person. I'm sure this is not the first theft this person has been a part of.
All I know is that's free financial advice and free security advice from the PEBCAK podcast. So I think that the U.S. federal government should be sponsoring us now. So your move.
Well,
failed.
Brian
asked for 1%.
Brian 100%
Yeah,
called
right.
it. Remember that story we did where the U.S. government was about to sell 4.4 billion worth of Bitcoin, and Brian's like, I'm sure there's some idiot in the government saying hodl. And if they had hodl, they would have made like 30% more because Bitcoin's like at an all-time high now.
Yeah.
It's insane how high Bitcoin is. Is it above 90 now?
It hit 90 on Coinbase. It hit 90.
That would have been crazy, right? If this guy stole it, it was at 70, right? And then he ran it through and
He returned it at 90.
returned it back at 70 and kept the profit at 90, right? I mean, that would have been funny.
Yeah, he would have held the arbitrage basically.
Yeah.
Guys, I almost dropped my transmission. I did Bitcoin price on Google. It's 121,561. I was like, what? And then I realized I'm in Canada, and that's just fairy tale money.
That's Canada bucks.
Canadian dollar.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fake news.
That's not real money.
So funny. He called it fairy tale money. You got that VDL? Fairy tale money up there.
Canada bucks. Yeah, it's at as of the time of the recording, it's 87,000, which is still higher. I was like 67, I think, when we did that story about the U.S. government selling their Bitcoin.
Still
Guys,
kicking myself.
we were like 7 minutes into driving to Banff, and my wife was already like on Zillow looking at houses. She's like, how do we move here? I'm in.
That's funny.
Yeah,
And I look, and I'll be honest,
Canadian.
I looked at it, I'm like, holy crap, like, why would anyone live in Montreal or Toronto? Like, Calgary and the extended area is beautiful. I think it might be like the Canada version of Yellowstone. Maybe with
Well, you're
more-
looking at it now, right before the winter season, right?
Yeah, everything's dead right now. We missed the seasons.
It's probably the best time to go, actually.
Yeah, you don't want to go another month. It's going to be snow on the ground, then you're going to be hating life.
Dude, the mountains are covered, and it snowed on my way to dinner tonight when I was walking. But it was like nothing. I'm not, unlike you guys, I'm not scared of cold weather.
I
have
do not
to-
like cold weather.
Do you have to be a Canadian citizen to be able to buy land?
No,
In
most
Canada?
immigrants have bought it. Like a lot of Canadian and U.S. real estate's been bought by foreign nationals.
You should ask VDL, but then again, he doesn't own any land in Canada.
He's an idiot.
Renter for life.
It's beautiful over there, man. I'm telling you, I don't understand. But his whole thing is he just wants to travel, be far away from any responsibilities as possible. His poor dog.
But he got a dog. His poor dog. Exactly.
Yeah.
His girlfriend has to take care of that dog now.
Does anyone actually know his girlfriend's name?
I do. I just don't want to out her on the podcast.
All right.
She
all right,
shares
now-
the name with a Simpsons character.
Oh, okay. Hey, look at. Did you know it, Glenn?
No.
You know, all my
I don't-
conversations with Victor, that I don't think I've ever been interested enough to even ask what her name was.
I don't remember the name of his dog.
He dropped it in the group chat. You guys just don't pay attention.
No, I just lost.
We're
it.
not
It's too
stock.
much.
We're not screenshot takers like you, Chris.
I believe that Chris is not anymore.
Yeah.
All right, for our last topic, it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week we're going to talk about how well we predicted the election and how all the polls got it right or wrong. We are now recording exactly a week after the election. We were all wrong that we thought we would not know the results of the election for weeks or months, but by 2 a.m. Eastern time the day after the election, Trump had already given his victory speech. It was a total repeat of 2016, where Democrats were just completely blindsided that their candidate lost so bad. Trump did get more than 300 electoral votes, which was my prediction, and he swept every single swing state. It was not even close enough to order any recounts. I think they are still counting ballots now, but as of the recording, I believe Trump is actually ahead of the popular vote, which nobody saw coming.
Still, did he lose Arizona?
He won Arizona.
He
He won
won Arizona?
all of the swing states, every single swing state, and by a margin where the other campaign cannot even do a recount. It's not even worth it.
Yeah. But it was interesting though. Did you see the electoral? I mean, not electoral. The map based off of county elections
In
It was
California.
very everywhere across the
Yeah.
whole U.S.
Oh, yeah, I saw that
it.
one. Yeah.
And it was like basically red everywhere except for major city populations where homeless isn't an issue. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
But
what
I
was
just want to
that?
know, where did 15 million votes go, guys, between 2020 and 2024? I just want to know. I'm not trying to raise a stink or anything. I just want to know where 15 million votes went.
The optimist would say there was very low voter turnout and low optimism for this election. That there were some people that said, I'm not going to vote for either. I'm just going to stay home. I'll let you take the pessimist view, Glenn.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe they didn't exist in the beginning. So, is it really 15 million?
It was pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I know there was I remember last time I looked at it, California was like only 51% reporting. It's like, what the hell, dude? Like, I think they just lost so bad. They're like, we don't need to count it, guys. Let's just call it.
It was, I'm looking at it now, as of the time of the recording. So Biden got 81.2 million in the popular vote, and Harris got 71.4 million. So it's about 10 million difference. Trump got like pretty much the same. He got 74.2 million last time, and he got 74.8 this time. So only about 600,000 difference. And he won in a landslide, but Harris
In a difference of 4 years.
was lower by 10 million votes.
I did go online and take screenshots of all the election predictions, and then I went out on Twitter and trolled everyone that got it wrong.
You get banned again,
Yep.
Brian?
What is it?
Did you get banned again on Twitter?
No, but someone said it was going to be like Harris for like 365 to 173. I was like, dude, you're an idiot.
Well, I was watching MSNBC and CNN. And I thought I was on another planet. It was really weird. It was like, oh my gosh, Kamala's gonna win.
Denying it.
And then you get to the very end, like 12 o'clock, and it was like, oh no, she's not gonna win. It's like total flip, and these so-called news outlets were just totally off on what they were hearing.
I was listening to CNN, and the moment that I saw them start to freak out, that's when I was like, I can go to bed now.
I
So,
stayed
like,
up that night. I actually listened to the victory speech.
Oh my gosh,
At
that was like
12
4
at
o'clock.
night. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that late. I think it wasn't any
probably
later than
11:30.
1 a.m. West Coast time,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, so the final vote was, as of right now, 312 electoral votes for Trump, 226 for Harris.
It wasn't so big on MSNBC or CNN though. I think they had it at like 280 or something like that, or 295.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Arizona and Nevada took forever to report it, and I think
Yeah.
Pennsylvania didn't even finish till like early in the morning.
I think that's when they knew. When Pennsylvania finally called it, they said, well, Trump wins Pennsylvania, he won Ohio, won Georgia, won Florida. Like, it's pretty much over. He won North Carolina.
They just look at it, outstanding votes that are left, right? That can't be overturned.
Yeah. And there's just some improbable. Like, in Pennsylvania, they said that there were something like 700,000 votes that still had to be counted, and Harris needed like 75% of it to make a difference. And it's just very unlikely at that point to do it. And then that's when they finally called it.
But look, miraculously there's another bucket of votes that need to be counted in.
Do you guys know who Alan Lichtman is? I'm sure Chris does.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Have you ever heard of the 13 Keys to the White House?
No.
So Alan's like this analyst guy, and he says that he's got this method, and it doesn't have to do with exit polls or anything like this. Like there's these 13 keys, and every time you win something, like you're the current incumbent, like that's a key for you, blah blah blah. And he has predicted like almost every election correctly. I don't know, last 40 years or something like that. I don't want to exaggerate, maybe 30 years. And anyways, he was live streaming it, and he was watching the whole thing. I think this is like this. Maybe this is only the second time that this happened, that he was actually wrong in predicting the election. He got it right in 2016, but he was just like, I am dumbfounded. He's like, I can't believe this is actually happening right now.
Yeah, I mean that's the wild card. That's what you get when you get an outsider coming in. You don't follow establishment politics, and that can throw a wrench into things.
Yeah. Brian, I don't know if you pay attention to California politics, but there was a Proposition 36 that was in play. Basically, that repealed, was it Prop 22?
Prop 47.
Which is Prop 47, where if you...
didn't repeal it, but it took a lot of its teeth out.
Yeah. Basically, like if you do some type of theft, it used to be $950 and below or above. Now that doesn't have to exist. Now the $950 is not a number anymore. But you can go to jail now and actually get time or multiple things. But it's good because a lot of people, it's like 70% voted for it, and Newsom was trying to push.
He was against it.
On that one.
Yeah, he was against it. Harris wouldn't say if she was for or against it, but I think it won by like 60 or even 70. It might have been 70% here in California. That it basically undoes stuff. It says for certain retail theft, like rampant organized retail theft, like clearly that should not get passed over. And then also drug related offenses. We had the fentanyl crisis here in California. It finally gives power back to the DAs,
the cops,
the police to actually charge them with felonies, because when Prop 47 came in, it made shoplifting under $950 a misdemeanor, which is basically legalizing shoplifting. And this finally takes that away, and Gavin Newsom vehemently opposed it. Harris wouldn't say if she was for or against it, but 70% of California voters says enough is enough. Like we need to fix this. We overcorrected.
Yeah, so explain this to me like I'm 3. So when I go to RSA this year and I'm standing in line for my Rockstar gum, do I A, pay for this, or B, walk out like a boss?
You can still walk out with the Rockstar, but if you come in with like 30 people and you steal a bunch of power drills, then maybe you'll have a problem. Or if you have prior drug offenses, I think you'll also have a problem.
What did you see that there was a guy before elections? There was a note of a message on some guy's store that said, "Hey, everything in here is worth $951 or $950, and you get your discount when you come to the register and pay for your stuff."
I actually saw that.
Basically, yeah, pretty cool. I don't know how enforceable that was, though. Yeah.
So I just brought up the 13 keys that you can look at, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. My favorite though is like this one. It was Stay Wonked on Twitter, and he says Trump isn't going to lose. He's going to get humiliated in a blowout, and then his life will belong to Jack Smith. And then he had predicted Democrats would get 314, Republicans would get 216. So
did you troll him back? Did you?
I might be blocked. Who knows?
That's awesome.
But it was also kind of weird that there's like an alarming amount of people. I wasn't really even paying attention. I was just screenshotting it, just going through, and that actually got it right. Like, well, it was Ben Shapiro. I can't believe that Ben Shapiro actually believed it. He was like kind of on the fence, but he got pretty close. He said 316 to 222, so he was only off by like 2 points, man.
Yeah, what was interesting in this cycle was that, like, I don't watch cable news anymore. Not even Fox, CNN, MSDNC, any of those. Like, I get my news from X. Like, I deleted Instagram off my phone. Like, I don't do that. But I got everything through X, and all signs pointed on X to a Trump victory, like a landslide, like a landslide. But people are saying, well, that's the algorithm. If your person is leading, or if you want this person to win, that X is going to deliver you news that says this person's going to win. And then Elon came out the day after the election and says there's really no surprise. Like, if you followed news trending on X, like everybody knew it was going to be a Trump landslide. That mainstream media is being replaced by things like X and things like podcasts and stuff. That it's not. You can't trust traditional media anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the discussion points going forward was just how bad the media has been over the last 4 years. That no one's really watching traditional news anymore. It's all online, right? Everything is either on X or some other platform, but definitely not in the news stream anymore.
Yeah, I want to say that, there's a lot of reasons why Trump won and Harris lost, but I think that one of them was the podcast. Like 2024 is like the podcast election year. Harris went on a bunch of podcasts, and Trump went on a bunch of podcasts, and Vance went on a bunch of podcasts, and it was an unfiltered, uncensored view of the candidates. Like if you actually, and there's some political commentators, it's like if you actually sit down with Trump or you sit down with Vance, like remember the whole thing, like everyone says Trump's weird and JD Vance is super weird, so nobody should vote for him. But if you listen to JD Vance, I think he went on Rogan, he went on, maybe it was Theo Vaughn. I know Trump went on Theo Vaughn, and it's like, just hear him out. They were on there for 3 hours, and they talked about policy, they talked about everything. And then, Harris went on this podcast about women's reproductive rights, and that's what they talked about. And she refused to go on to Joe Rogan's podcast for 3 hours unscripted, and just give you a view of the candidates that you couldn't get from cable news, because everything on cable news would be scripted and censored if it wasn't, following the narrative.
I don't think you're wrong. I think the podcast did a good job of humanizing both Trump and Vance, if I'm going to be real. Like just on the Joe Rogan one alone, I was like, man, I kind of dig it, man. I'm into this. But on the same side, like when Kamala's doing her thing, like I just didn't, like, apparently you can't win an election on fear mongering, right? That was the whole thing. Like there was really no policy behind it, and I was just like, all right, this is, I don't know, it felt like, so do you, everyone's point about like you're just in the algorithm and you're just saying whatever you want. I still, to this day, and I don't know why it is, I still see both sides. I see tons of posts from left, right, and center. So do you see that too, Chris, or no?
On X, yes. Well, on X, yeah. I wouldn't say it's fair and balanced, but I do see opposing views. Like if you go on Instagram or Facebook or mainstream media, it's completely lopsided in one way, and I don't have to tell you which way it is. But on X, I see both.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear some not new, but maybe some other websites? They're paid for, but they basically present the news, or they present, or they have links to like CNN and Fox News, and then they tell you which way the story is written, whether it's conservative or liberal, and that way you can kind of make your own decisions, and from that. It was pretty cool. I gotta go research. I gotta go figure out where I saw that.
Yeah, I know the service you're talking about. It tries to be equal and fair. I don't recall what it is, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I was like, hey man, that actually would be something that I could read. And we're like, okay, this article's swayed this way, or this news agency is very unbiased in their opinion, right? So, or in their reporting.
Yeah. All right, it's getting quite late for Brian, so we're going to let him go here. We continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, I'm up. Now, I remember when I was a kid, I could go into a store with $1 and come home with 3 bags of chips, 2 candy bars, 6-pack of Starburst, and even a cold drink. Well, nowadays they got cameras everywhere.
Wow.
That they do. Womp womp.
Alright, to wrap things up, iPhones randomly reboot to prevent forensic hacking. Apple will soon let you help airlines find your luggage. A crypto thief did not want to feel the full weight of the US government. And the polls were still wrong, but at least they were closer this time. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all listeners and subscribers who rated us 5 stars on the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app. My co-host Brian Deitch and Glenn Medina. I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Have a nice day.
No, that's why I probably should have